We're now recording. The camera should be zoomed in on this and zoom the camera. So video is going to be. Okay. Now, one thing, good heavens. Now it's zoomed back to the interstate or something. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. When camera is recording, don't talk. Don't do anything to identify you. Don't walk in front of the camera. Okay? It's for privacy, which I think is an overreach. You know, privacy is important stuff. So we can live with that. All right. Now looking at sills, I've already said you need to go to Canvas and you need to enroll yourself in My Open Math. You read the welcome announcement. Okay. Just read the announcements. Look at the announcements. So, okay. Everybody understand that? Have you been on Canvas? Okay, well, you need to be on Canvas. If you don't know how to get on Canvas, go over to the library area and ask for some help. Okay, there's a help desk over there. They'll get you straight in about 30 seconds. Very simple. Okay. And I actually can't tell you how to do it because I don't see it the way students do. So ask them, don't ask me. Although if they can't help you, come and get me and I'll go over there and get them to help you. But they're great. They're great. So they're going to be more than happy to help. Okay. And they're very good at it. It happens. Even I'm about this big on this. Okay. So as far as the course goes, what we've got is an intermediate algebra course. Now, realistically, the course usually has to start with some basic arithmetic and elementary algebra. We generally spend, and ends up that we have to spend about half the term on elementary algebra. Okay. Once we built that, then we get through intermediate algebra in the second half of the term. So that's like half the semester reviewing the elementary algebra. Everybody should know, but usually doesn't. Okay. And the other half is the intermediate algebra, at least the topics in intermediate algebra that you need, that you most need in order to pass pre-calculus. Okay. So by the time you're done here, you should be ready. If you do really, really well in this course, you should actually be ready to just step into the pre-calculus. But most people find that they need the support course along with pre-calculus. Okay, there's a support course that in the foreseeable future, I believe, will continue to meet right before the pre-calculus class. So you get like 2 full periods to get to pre-calculus. Okay. Now pre-calculus is down the road. I'm not going to do a lot of pre-calculus in this course. Pre-calculus. We try to prepare you to at least be able to do the pre-calculus with the help of the support course. Now I have people who do extremely well in this course. And if you do extremely well, I might tell you, you probably don't need the support course, although you still have the option of taking it. Okay. Support course is fairly successful. Everybody that's made A's in my course in the last 2 years, my pre-calculus course, has been in the support course. Okay. And the person that made the highest grade last year started with this course and then did extremely well, was able to take the pre-calculus in the fall and knocked the top off. That's the scores I've seen here. Okay. So this course can lead you directly into pre-calculus core. On the other hand, I have people who were in this course who didn't pass it, although they did significant work. They learned stuff. Okay. But sometimes, and not infrequently, people have to take this course twice. It's just like Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, all rolled into one. It's like 2 years of high school math. Okay. So use the course to your best advantage, and the best advantage will be do all the work and do it honestly. Don't let ChatGPT solve your problems for you. You don't learn anything. Okay. So every day you're going to have assignments. You're going to come in here. We'll have a short quiz on the assignments. And that quiz will count toward your grade. And also, shows me what you do and don't know from your assignments, what you need a little more help on, and we spend a lot of time then going over those quizzes and the areas that I think you need a little more attention on. Okay. And then we cover some new material and try to give you what you need to step into the open math and get started. Okay. And again, when you do the open math, you can look up, you get all the answers online, get your homework done in 15 minutes. You won't learn anything and you won't pass this course doing that way, but you can do that. Okay. You need to engage with the material. And I think the majority of students that we get here don't understand that because they've been able to pass their courses without doing much engagement. Okay. So make sure you're one of the 50% that knows you engage with the material. That means you work the problem out. And you work the problem out not by sitting there with a video of a similar problem and imitating every step. Okay. You use that video to learn what to do, and maybe you got to go back and look at something now and then. Okay. Now, if the best you can do is just watch that video and imitate every step, you're still going to learn something. Okay. But then you're probably going to need a little more practice. I'll provide opportunity for practice. There'll be plenty of opportunity for practice. Okay. And I'll explain more about that. Okay. Now let's go over some of the details on the syllabus. First of all, you got my office hours. And you can read that. I have to read it to you. Usually I'm in here during office hours, but I've got another office in the RTC building. It's kind of my official office. But I spend my time here. Usually. Depends what I have to do. Okay. So I'm not in one place I should be in the other. And if I'm some reason out of the office reading or something, I'll usually leave a note on the door. Sometimes I'm just stupid and I forget to do that. I try to make sure I do. I know I'm going to be gone for more than a couple of minutes. If I just step out, go to the bathroom, or just walk around to clear my head for 5 minutes, I probably usually won't put the note in the door, but the door will be open. If the door's open, we'll walk. Okay. And I shouldn't be more than 5 minutes, unless I get detained. I mean, if the governor comes along and wants my advice, I'm not going to keep him waiting. It's not going to like my advice, but I'm going to give it to him anyway. I think education in general. Well, I mean, the guy's more educated than I am. So, from a school that I really respect, has got an engineering degree. He knows something about education. And if there are things I don't like, usually it's things that he can't do anything about anyway. Enough about the governor. Let's see. There's the course title and description. It is what it is. You can read it. It's an intermediate algebra course. And there's something kind of wrong with them. Can't do it on this sheet for some reason. That's just, well, yeah, I guess that is the description. Covers topics and algebra lecture, 3 hours total, 3 hours a week, reprinted. That's a pretty brief, bare bones description. It doesn't tell you too much. But a little while you'll see, you get more information. And then I say required prerequisite knowledge. Course focuses on intermediate algebra. Working knowledge of pre-algebra algebra 1 is required. Well, it is, but most people don't have that. So if you don't have that, you're along with most people that I've seen in this course. Okay. And we're going to fill in those details. So I say, as incoming students are a bit rusty, the course will start with review of pre-calculus and algebra topics. It's an extensive review. It'll go probably at least to early October. It's now late August. And the purpose of the course is to prepare you for Math 161 with co-requisite. Again, sometimes you do well enough, skip co-requisite, although I think you're going to do better if you do 161 with the co-requisite. The objectives are pretty generic, demonstrate comprehension of major topics to solve problems, and apply the skills toward continuing progress in Math 161 with co-requisite. Then the major topics. I'm not going to read the major topics to you because if you haven't had algebra 2 or haven't learned algebra 2, you're not going to understand most of them anyway. We'll understand them as we get to them. Okay? And you can read the topics and see which of these topics you think you have some knowledge of. Nature of the course, combination of asynchronous and synchronous activities. So we'll see what that means, but most of the instruction will take place here with me working with you pretty much individually. I'll be able to give everybody a lot of individual attention, but only for students. We get up to a class of 24 students, I'll have to modify the way I do it, but I don't expect 24 students. Okay, and there might be another student or two that signs up. Especially after I talk to my pre-calculus class and tell them what the hell it is. Okay? People tend to think they know more than they do. People get themselves into pre-calculus and they just don't have the background and the work habits and all these other things. Many of them would profit by starting. Okay? I've never had anybody take my advice on that. So if I say that, say what I need to say to specifically, they usually just run for the X's. So we don't want to do that. We want to learn something. Okay. And much of the homework through my open math. There'll be other homework. Okay. And some of it will be optional. I can written a bunch of problems, program that I've written. I can randomly generate 1 million problems to do that. But I think you but there's kind of an unlimited supply of practice problems. Okay. One thing I'll interject right now. You always want to check your work. One reason people don't succeed in their math courses to the extent that they need to in order to pass this course or the pre-calculus course is they never check their work, so they never get feedback on whether it's right or not. Just write down something, hope it's right. It's a golden opportunity to learn something if you don't check your work. Now, if you're doing a bunch of linear equations and you've been getting them right all along, well, okay. Check your work every once in a while. But when you're into something that's new, check your work. Not sure I've got it on here, but I will expect you to have a dedicated notebook for this course. Okay. And to write out your work. Okay. And I do apologize. I had to do an extensive edit of this thing. And kind of like putting a square peg in a round hole format that I was required to use doesn't fit what I'm trying to say very well. But there's good reason for the format. So I'm okay with it. I also found out they're putting down new floors in here. So all this stuff is going to have to go someplace and do that. And a couple of other things. No excuse, but I spent a lot of time last week. Doesn't look like it, but trying to get things, start getting things organized. So that's going to be possible without causing the work crew to have a collective nervous breakdown. Okay. So if there are a couple of errors in here, I ask your forgiveness. I think most of it's okay. And I tell you what I said, class will begin with a short quiz, etc. Then I'll introduce new material. I said that it's in italics here. I don't know why it's in italics, but it's okay. All right. I also had like 8 of these. Yeah. Different cultures, so some that it's might have slipped through the cracks. Again, I talk about engage students actively as opposed to passively. Okay. And one thing about that is write it out. If you write it out, pull it out of your memory. Okay. And you retain it much better. Now, a counterexample of that, I'm trying to finally, before I reach middle age, I'm trying to learn quite a bit of Einstein's general relativity. And I'm doing it by reading and I'm not writing much. So I'm not learning very fast. Once I've got it, I don't know what to do with it. But I always wanted to, didn't get the opportunity to take those courses when I was in graduate school. Okay. Okay, so we got that. Quizzes graded. Can you look quiz average going to be part of my library to talk about how we're graded shortly. Little bit of repetition here. But it's much of the homework through open math. But you're going to come in here with your written solution. So look, see how you're structuring your solution. And naturally, if your solutions are structured the way ChatGPT would structure them, I'm not going to say anything, but I know you're on the road to failure. Okay. I might send out a generic warning, but I'm not going to put you in the spot. Also, if the work in your notebook isn't reflected in what you do with the quiz, well, the quiz is going to carry all the way anyway. So you're not going to do well. So again, engage yourself. Don't use shortcuts. Don't use the web to do your homework. You can use web resources. Any web resource is fine as long as that web resource isn't solving your problems, telling you step by step to solve. Okay? Does that make sense? Because you don't learn. If I require written documents, submit them using your VHCC email, not Canvas. Canvas is really good for some things. This email is awful. I can't sort it. I can't search it. Can't do anything with it. Also, if it comes from Canvas and you've got an attachment, I've got to jump through 6 or 7 hoops in order just to view it. With VHCC email, I click on the attachment and there it is. Okay. So use, and you know, if you accidentally submit one through Canvas, I'll probably go ahead and jump through the hoops. And then send you an email and say, look, I jumped through the hoops, don't make me do that again. Okay. Have mercy. We don't do a whole lot of graphs in this course. We do a whole lot of graphs in, yeah, we do some graphs. You construct them by hand. You don't use Excel or software. Construct graphs. You don't use a graphing utility. Construct graphs. You don't use graphing calculator. You use pencil and paper. Construct it by hand. Okay. Again, that's how you learn. Punch buttons and get the graph. You might learn a lot about the graph, but you won't learn how to construct it, and you won't learn really what's there in the graph. Okay. And when we do that, you know, we'll go easy on the idea. You do need a calculator. It could be a scientific calculator of any type, but there'll be times when you want to do arithmetic that you don't want to have to write out. Okay. Kind of repeated thing about written documents submitted by VHCC, single file attachment. Okay. Don't give me a bunch of JPEGs. Although if you don't know how to do anything else, it comes through VHCC email. And put them in order and stuff. Don't send me upside down. Don't send me pictures on their side. Make sure they're legible. If you use a picture, now you have scanner apps. You have a smartphone, you get a scanner. They're all over the place. Okay. Again, go to the help desk if you don't know how to download and use a scanner app in your particular phone. If you don't have a phone with a scanner app, we have scanners over in the library. Okay, just ask somebody and give it a scanner. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be asking for that much scan work. Although if you have a question on a homework problem, and you have to email them about it, because you can't get them. Scan the thing and email it to me. I can usually give you a written solution that you're going to understand better than you would verbal solution anyway. Okay, because you can go back and reread it. So I do kind of recommend that's a good way to ask questions. Send me a scan of the thing you're asking about, or send me something to tell me what your question is. Okay, where are you getting stuck on that stuff? Give me information, and that's for 2 reasons. One, I can usually guess what the information is. I don't absolutely need it, but it's often helpful to me. But the main reason for that is if you articulate, if you put it in writing or verbally, here's what I'm having problems with, half the time it's all of a sudden going to clarify itself and you're not going to need my help. Not that I mind giving you help, but if it clicks that way for you, it's going to work much better for you than if I told you. Okay. It's going to give you more confidence. You're going to retain things. So always try to articulate, try to write out what it is that's giving you trouble. Okay. Also, that does help me focus my response. I can be sure that this is what you need to hear, or 99% sure. 37%. Okay. Attendance policy, you got to be here. although I don't assign a grade in attendance. I won't fail you for non-attendance, although if you don't attend, don't do any work, I'll drop you from the course. Okay, I'm kind of required to do that, and it's real good. Incidentally, if I do administratively drop you from the course, you always have like 5 days to appeal. Okay. So I can let you back in, but you're gonna have to show me something if that happens. I don't usually drop people from this course, pass fail. At least not until midterm. Then a midterm comes down to, well, does an unsatisfactory really look bad on your commence look? Doesn't count as point average, but it does look great. So usually, if you're not on track to pass, I'll administratively withdraw you, but if you want back in, just ask. Okay. And I'll tell you, okay, you're in danger of getting an unsatisfactory here, but here's what I think your chances are. Like maybe haven't been putting in enough time, but you're doing some good stuff. If you put in enough time, I think you can pull it out. Or I can say, I'm just not seeing it. I think you're well on track to get an unsatisfactory, but if you want to continue attending, get the unsatisfactory, you can continue to learn. Then if you have to take the course again, you'll be in that much better shape and you're probably going to be okay. And it's remember, this is material that takes 2 years to cover in high school. And 1 semester. Don't be intimidated by that. It works for a lot of people if they work and engage in the way I'm advocating. Okay. I have no idea if this thing's really recording. Be too bad if it isn't. Okay, it is recorded. This new interface is causing me to break my glasses. They're pretty sturdy. Okay. This new interface isn't giving me the information I'd really like to see. I think Zoom just makes some mistakes. There's usually a button that tells me it's recording. Now I've got to click on something to see if it's recording. And since I often lose track of whether I'm recording or not, since I usually in a class pause and pause a lot, that's really a pain. Might need to Zoom. Okay. Academic integrity. Use academic resources. I don't know why this is inserted there. There it is. It's a note on AI. Basically just saying use AI inappropriately or cheating. Although I'm not going to take it to court and prove it, I'm not going to do anything about it, except allow you to get the consequences, which is you don't learn anything, you don't pay attention. Okay. Of course, so you can pass the course using AI any way you want to, as long as you're doing okay on the quizzes and on the tests. I'm fine with it. Okay. But don't take those shortcuts. It's fatal to 99.9% of the students. There are people who are smart enough to read the stuff I'm reading about general relativity and learn it in one reading. I'm not one of those, and almost nobody has ever laid eyes on that. Okay. One of a billion. And still, similarly, most people are not capable of learning this stuff without writing it out and engaging. All right, I want to read that. Simple. It's online. Okay. Now there's specific objectives that I haven't put here. I didn't want to kill too many trees. It's a fairly long list of specific objectives. Read it online. And I recommend that you read it every week or two to see what you used to not know, but now you do. Okay? Very encouraging. Assuming that you're doing what you ought to do, what you need to do. A textbook, there's a textbook coming embedded in my open math, get what you need there. There are other resources, like there's an open math or an open stats. Okay, it's a free online text. They have an intermediate algebra text. They have an elementary algebra text. So if you want textbook, you get that online textbook, which is pretty darn good. So that's helpful too. You needn't get a hard copy of it. It's basically just the cost of printing. It will be like $50 compared to the cost of most textbooks. It's really cheap. And if you decide you really want it, I could declare it to be required. So that the financial, of course, when you get your financial reimbursement checks, you can use that. And it comes out the same because you buy the book and reimbursement check. That's nice. Well, you need to do that. I think that's it. Grading policy pass fail. And they're specific. You pass by attending at least 85% of class sections, actively participating in class activities, and scoring at least 60% in each test and MDE. Whoop. You pass by passing the test. Okay. And what happened in the editing process is that we last year thing on use of email, just what I said before. Use the VHCC email. Okay, now we've got this stuff, students with disabilities. These are the same on everybody's syllabus and over syllabus. You've heard it all. I'm going to say it all kind of briefly. You got disabilities, diagnosed disabilities, student counselors, that all over there, right behind. Okay, you'd ask any of them, but of course you can always contact her. Copenhagen is really the one over the time. And she's there pretty much all day, every day. Okay, and she can be very helpful. And there are accommodations, like the usual accommodations, unlimited time of tests, but I allow that anyway. Okay, but there could be other accommodations or diagnosis. If you got some kind of learning disability or other disability, even a physical disability, although y'all look pretty good, deal with that. Academic conduct. There's the VHCC student handbook, which you ought to read. But don't be disruptive. The way I handle disruptions, you're not going to want to be disrupted. Okay. Yeah, don't bring weapons, because I'll have to discard you. It's a pass, it's a kind of I'm just kidding. But don't bring weapons. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. Nobody has that gleam in their eye. I don't think anybody hears that. And my ability to disarm somebody is deteriorating. And academic integrity, you got to do your own work, no exceptions. That means don't let AI that represent somebody else's work is yours. Okay. Just a bad idea. You don't learn anything. So, if for no other reason, Don't do that, but it also devalues the education of people get. And there's a list, fabrication, presenting information, citations and stuff that is not relevant to this course. Providing unauthorized, if you help somebody else do their actual homework, now it's fine to help somebody else learn the material by doing examples and stuff like that. I encourage that. But if you're doing the actual problems that they're submitting, ways, not a good idea. And cheating in exams, that's really almost impossible to do. That's all the tests are done through the testing center. Also, when you're tested, you're going to have unlimited time, and there'll be a window of a few days at least when you can arrange to get there. Okay. With flexibility, and if that doesn't work for you, I can give you a week. You usually don't want to get too. Okay. There's a college-wide emergency. You have the information here that you need. There's a website, there's a telephone number. I'm not going to read them to you because you're not going to remember them, and I'm probably going to read them wrong anyway. An emergency text messaging, so be sure you're aware of this in case there's some kind of emergency. Like, this college has been hit by tornadoes before. Just F1 tornadoes that just tore a little bit of stuff off the roof of the building next door. That was within the last several years. Okay. But aren't exactly in tornado alley, but they can happen. That's the most likely emergency that could happen. But recap, you have deadlines. Last day to add a class is, got the wrong dates for winter. Couple of the facts that I need to do that, but if you go down to the middle of the page, the fall college calendar is printed. And it tells you when the last day to pay tuition is, that's today. Last day to add a class is Friday. College is closed Monday, that's Labor Day. Okay, those are all relevant rights. Last day to drop a class and receive a refund. It didn't print out, but check the college calendar and the college website. It's under academic resources, academic calendar. Okay, it's a little hard to find, but that's the nature. But I believe it's September 11th. Okay. So check that out. I write this stuff in HTML. And apparently our printer doesn't appreciate HTML like it should. And then Tuesday, October 16th, classes. Last day to withdraw without academic penalties, October 30th. Then there's advising and open enrollment. Another research day, the day before Thanksgiving. We won't have class. Of course, we're closed on Thanksgiving. And you got a 3-day, actually 5-day weekend at Thanksgiving. Classes end on Friday, December 6th, and then exams run the next week, Monday through Friday. And usually, unless there's something in my life causes me to have to modify this, and there never has been, and I don't expect it will be. I usually give you the entire week, final exams, do your exams. Okay. And that is regular testing center hours. This center ends and closes a little bit earlier on Friday. But you can arrange it at your convenience, okay? The student initiated withdrawal policy. There's instructions on how to withdraw yourself from the class. if you withdraw during the first 15%, nothing shows in the transfer. The commission is refunded. It never happened. Now that's like by the 11th, okay? I'm losing one, so I think it's like 2 weeks from Wednesday. It's based on my visualization of the calendar, so don't trust it. Okay, look at the dates. After the drop period, you can withdraw up to October 30th this time. Okay, that's a 60% date. And then a W does go on transfer. Or if I administratively withdraw you after the 15%, a W goes on transfer. Okay. It's not usually a big deal, but like if you were applying to medical school or something, it could be interesting. Okay. Or applying to some exclusive graduate program. An employer might not. And well, I think it's what do you think, depending on the nature of the job? And if you don't withdraw by the date, you get to it. Which at the worst in here would be an unsatisfactory, not a fit package. Saying unsatisfactory looks worse than it can be, but ask other people's opinion. We do have mental health support. And there's a list of the people you can email that they're going to. Okay. So really, if you know, mental health problems are, I've had one for the last 60 years, but seriously, mental health problems can crop up, life can be full of incredible pleasure. And if you've got those kind of pressures and they're causing you to have severe anxiety, unable to sleep, unable to function, it's a mental health issue. Doesn't mean you're crazy. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's just means that life's doing that to me. Of course, maybe you really are crazy. That's possible, but none of you look. It's a problem. We'll have relatively normal expressions in your face. You can mask it. Seriously, there's no stigma, and it's all done with complete confidentiality. Okay. So be sure you obviously if you have a problem. Long medication. If you just got some kind of device interfering with it, or what's a little double. Mine are at least 3 hours a day. But I'm pretty good at sorting things. Stuff I do is fairly complicated. Don't talk to me about your motivations. But if you think, I mean, really, both of my daughters majored in psychology. That ought to tell you something about me. At good schools, one of them just completed a master's degree, allows you to practice psychiatry. Okay. But not sure what my next thought was, so I'll just leave it at that. Okay, now let's do just a little bit of math, break the ice on something that you probably learned in 5th grade and haven't used since. And I'm going to pause the video. If I happen not to write real big, remind me, because this camera's showing us just a tiny blackboard there.